better dash from my class of rebels, cause you know we came to blast when we smashed the metal. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it. Brooklyn, that's how we doing it.
Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome to another On Everything podcast. I'm so happy to have y'all here today. I'm Gina Jean, and she is Ella Brown. Ella, what's popping today?
Everything is good. Everything is good. I was just getting caught up on the news about what we were talking about earlier about Afghanistan.
Man, it's like madness right now. I mean, I think that U.S. needs to show a little bit more backbone and go ahead and get aggressive, because this is getting to a situation where it's like, okay, what do we do? You you got Americans trapped over there right now, stuck. Can't find their passports, can't get home. I mean, this it's like totally out of hand right now.
And then the ones, the Afghanistan, or the community of Afghanistan, who's helped us help the U.S., right? You've been hearing their stories all on the news talking about, and they've been real. They were like, we helped you for all these years. So U.S., don't do this. Don't be funny. It's your turn.
Exactly. And this is the same situation that happened. This is how we ended up with ISIS. This is how we ended up with the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Like, we get into these countries, we start changing the way they operate. They're not democracies like we are. So we sit there and we try to change their situation, and then we pull out, and it leaves a vacuum. So now, unfortunately, you have something like the Taliban taking over. And we're sitting here really, really, really trying to negotiate with the Taliban, which I think is wild.
I know. They're calling them a government. Have you heard them on the news? They were like, so the Taliban, the government, we're getting word from them that they're saying there's such and such casualties. I'm just like,
this is ridiculous.
I just never thought I'd hear today. I mean, I don't even know what to say. And the people's families are over there, the wives and the husbands are over there, and people from Afghanistan who are U.S.
Citizens. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, U.S. citizens, they're stuck over there. And I just don't know. And this is where, military is not my area of expertise, because my thing is, I don't understand, if we're the strongest force out here, why is it that we cannot just go take all our planes and go get them and then figure out where everybody's going to go?
Ella want to just bomb everything.
I think we need to go get everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's true though. Like, seriously, like, if
all this money. Now, if it was somebody, if they had a whole bunch of military people over there, and it was just military or something, just USA, whatever, then they would be over there. How is it that you can't do this and make whether you got to put them up in hotels or, you're the United States government.
Exactly. And it's like, at least like, if you're not going to bomb, if you're not going to attack, if you're going to be passive, like, you should be, at least aggressive and protecting the people, who looked out for us when we were there, as well as looking out for American citizens. Like, and that should be, our main concern. Like, and if you do anything to American citizen, we need to make a lesson out of you. You understand? Like,
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said they're going to do. But then even on the news, and Sean said we need to mind our own business. We go and do our own, which is true. I understand that, but I understand too that we got to have partnerships and all of this stuff. But there's got to be some type of compromise. Like, they said that they trained them, and I don't know if they said it was Trump's administration who said that they were supposed to be out by May 1 or some type of agreement they made.
Yes, and that was the Trump administration.
Right. And then Biden, I guess followed that. But my thing is, when they're over there, and the U.S., the soldiers said that they would train them and stuff like this. So I guess if we do, one, yes, we need to mind our own business, right? But two, if we go over there and then we train you, how long do we keep our people over there? Like, how long do we stay to make sure you got it? Because That stuff has been going on for a long time, and even after we go, it's still going to go on. You know, it's a spiritual battle over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like when you look at the history of like the Jews versus Muslims, la la la, that's been going on for ages. And since the beginning of time, basically, like, and it's like, how do we expect to step in and bring peace to something that, like, this is not our culture. We don't understand it. So I think that, like, we do need to step back, mind our business. But when it comes to, just defending ourselves in this situation, I think that we need to be a little bit more assertive. I look at the Biden administration. And like, he's facing many challenges right now. When you like you got the unemployment ending, the COVID coming back, yeah, exactly. And then you have this war over here, and yeah, man, it's like he's just walking around, like with fires everywhere. And I remember early in the Obama administration, he was going through the same thing. Like, it was like fires everywhere. Like you had the financial crisis. You had, a bunch of things going on. But, like sometimes you really need to sit down, take care of home, and then take care of everything else. So, like when it comes to the war in Afghanistan, I really, I think that we need to, stomp them out one time and get out of there, like,
yeah.
you gotta,
and audience, me and Gene are not in the military, but we just wonder why it can't just be a whole swoop. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I mean, everything has consequences. There's a lot of stuff we don't know, but
yes,
we're just watching it and like in horror, like everybody's just watching it in horror.
Mm-hmm. And like Sean said, trying to fix the last president's last stuff, the stuff that he left. So, like, this is the consequences of having a bad president. You know what I mean? Like, when he gets up and leave, like, the next person is stuck fixing everything that he left behind. And, because of all the lies, all of the, like, we got immigration problems. We got all types of problems going on, in this country right now. And, not to mention, I know we said the show was going to be about the kids going back to school. We got the kids going back to school with this COVID stuff and, amongst with all of these problems. And, it's like, this nation, like, we really need God right now because it's really tough out there, It's really tough. Just looking at all these circumstances, and like that thing, like that, you had all those troops get bombed. You had what was it? 13 troops.
Oh,
13, there was
13 U.S. troops.
Yeah, 13 U.S. troops, 60 Afghans like died.
Yep.
Like at the hands of a suicide bomber.
Now
like
they're just saying updated at least 90 13 U.S. service members, and now it was 60, but now I'm seeing something with 90. But go ahead.
Yeah, so you have all of these people dying, and it's it's kind of senseless, and it's like, what do you do against the enemy? Who, you know what I mean? Like, they don't care. Like, they'll bomb themselves. Like, you can't beat that. Yeah. Like,
this is the Wall Street Journal. It said 13 U.S. service members, at least 90 Afghans so far.
That is ridiculous, like, and it's like, all for what? And then like, and we're involved in it. But the thing is, we stuck our nose in there and we got ourselves entangled with it. So when you get yourself entangled with something like that, you got to see it to the end, unless, you're going to make the situation worse for yourself.
Yeah.
So now that area is going to be deemed, like a dangerous hotspot for Americans. And now when you think about when Afghans come to America, they're going to give them a tough time, obviously, some of them. And, and run the risk of allowing terrorists in our country because of the vacuum that we left there. And it's like, what's the win at the end of this now? Like, what do you consider a win?
Lost lives, war.
Yeah.
And we know war brings money too. what's that going? You know, all of that stuff is just entangled. All that stuff is
Mhm.
just entangled. I don't even know what to do. I hate to see these people suffer. I hate to see people who helped us and now they're suffering. I hate to see our military who has been over there and now they got to go back. I mean, it's just, I mean, I don't know what to do. It's hate. It's just hate.
Yeah, exactly. And and it's senseless. Like, it's senseless. We getting involved for, like their oil or whatever's the case, whatever's got us there. But we got to get out of there. We got to get out of there, and we gotta definitely close that door. And try to help as many people as we can. We can't just leave people hanging.
I
You
know.
know?
Do you see the people holding on to the plane? The
Oh my
outside.
God! Like,
That. Look at that fear.
mhm.
That's how scared you are.
Yes,
That the plane is taking off and you are holding on and on the wings
yes,
of the plane.
yes. Chasing the plane, like they throwing rocks at our soldiers. Like we were heroes coming in, and we getting things thrown at us on the way out. And it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and like I said, there's no. It's a lose lose. Like if we stay there, we're just gonna be there for forever. You know
It's a never. That's never ending.
exactly.
That
Like
is never ending.
this stuff been going on, for
Yeah.
longer than we could mention. So it's like, what do you do? At the end of the day, my condolences to all the people that's related, to the troops or
Yes.
whatever.
God bless. God bless. We pray for your safety and
Yeah.
loss of life. We are so sorry to hear about that. That loss of life is
Hmm.
real. And these people have,
Yeah.
I mean, these people got 4 or 5 kids. I mean, it's just,
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, for what? Like, what are we there for? Like, what is our end game? There's no end game. We went in there without an end game. We just invaded this place and tried to turn them into what we are. And, like, that's the problem with America. We play world police, and, unfortunately, it's just not a good situation.
it's the
Not
same
at
thing
all.
with COVID. It's the same thing what's going on now with COVID. And,
Hmm.
you know, there are people who've gotten the shot. There are people
Hmm.
who have not gotten the shot. But are you listening and paying attention to those buzzwords? And that reminds me when I was in media in school, all those buzzwords for marketing. Like it was, okay, first it was people, right? Some news stations still say people. Some people are not vaccinated, some people are. Now you hear them calling the vaccinated and the
And the
unvaccinated. Now,
unvaccinated.
if that ain't, look at that buzzword, so you
Yes,
can immediately
absolutely.
use that
Hmm.
marketing, and that's pitting people against it. Oh, so now they're not even people. Now it's the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And
Yeah,
so that separation
mhm.
is real.
I was reading a sports blog, and they were talking about like the stadiums, stadiums that allow people that are not vaccinated versus the ones who only allow people who are vaccinated. They're like, oh yeah, it's safer to go to the
Yeah.
vaccinated stadiums, like, so now stadiums are vaccinated, like.
Well, look, your city, didn't New York? New York just had that concert. I think they said you had to prove that you had at least one vaccination to get in. That concert they had in Central Park, where it started
Yeah.
raining.
Hmm.
Yeah, you had to prove
And
that you
then
had like
if you
one.
had one shot, you still got a chance of getting it. So what's the point? Like, and like I got the vaccine. To be honest, upfront and honest, I do have it, but I'm still scared. When I go outside, I'm still scared. I'm still uncomfortable with crowds. I don't know who don't got it. I don't know, what exactly it protects me against. So therefore, I don't feel fully comfortable outside.
I've got
You
about
know
20 different color masks. I mean, that's part of my wardrobe. 20 masks. And because who
exactly.
knows how long now that the kids are back, and I know we're gonna talk
Hmm.
about that soon, but now the kids are back, and then so the teachers have to wear masks, right? And everybody has to wear masks. So that's talking about probably, I'm thinking, if not most of the year, for the remainder of the year, just because that's nationwide, kids are going back. And then what do
Hmm.
you do with the kids? I can't even remember. Pfizer just approved some shot. I don't know what age it was, but then the younger ones, I don't know if they're approved yet. And then what is this school year going to look like? And then
Exactly.
thing, flu season, when winter comes, all
Yes.
of that. And then if you get sick, and then if you
Hmm.
get COVID, and you don't have the vaccine, are you gonna be more susceptible? If you do, are you still gonna be like, I don't even know.
And outside is shutting back down. So it's like, like people looking at vacations and things like that. It's closing. It's closing again. So it's like, at the end of the day, what's the point?
And it's closing out here. Did they call out here where I am in Maryland? It's closed back. Before it was no mask. Now they said everybody's got to wear a mask inside. It's the same thing in New York. Oh, Sean says 16 and up. Yeah, so Pfizer approved that vaccination for 16 and up. And then what are you going to do for the 15 and under?
Exactly.
What are you going to do for the parents who got to give the babies who got to work? You know, the siblings, the treat. You know what I'm saying?
My daughter's 4. What I'm going to do?
What are you going to do for real? For real?
Exactly. And it's like,
go back to school.
Today, well, she did some summer, some summer stuff in school.
Yeah.
So she, today was her last day of the summer stuff. So she goes back to school next week, and it's like, I'm still uncomfortable with it, Yeah. And, like from the beginning of COVID, like I kept her home. So it's like, she's excited to get back to school, of course, to get around her friends and people her age and things like that. She has siblings, but like it's just like she's excited to go back. But for me, I'm scared to death. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to run the risk of her getting sick or getting somebody sick. When she comes home, because like they say, the children's immune systems are stronger and they don't get it at the level that adults do.
That's what they say, but then, everybody's different. I mean, that may be it, but we don't know with all these kids and the young. I mean, you don't even have a lot of data. We barely had data, to get everybody else vaccinated. And then I'm saying, what do you think about, the people said, if I'm vaccinated, then I'm not going to wear a mask. Or some people are not vaccinated, not wearing masks. And some people are fighting over wearing a mask. What do you think about that? Whether you're vaccinated or not, do you think that you should still wear a mask? I think
you should still wear a mask. Absolutely, because you can still pass it around. So, I think that you should wear a mask. I went to a hotel in North Carolina, and there was a sign inside the hotel that said, vaccinated people are welcome without masks. And I'm just like, what?
I'm still wear my mask. Because, we ain't playing. People out here, people, you go to the I'm going back to the car. Let me go get my mask.
I will go back home.
You don't know. And you don't know what your immune system's going to do. And even if you had it, you don't know. You just don't know. And then this Delta variant, I mean, what is that? I mean, I don't know.
And I don't want to run the risk of making nobody sick. I don't want that on my conscience to, as I don't know, if I ever had it or if I didn't, I never was that sick. I did get sick when in the beginning, I was sick for some time. I was out on vacation in California, and, me and my whole family, we all were sick at the same time, and nobody said nothing to each other because we were all scared that everybody is going to treat each other a funny way because of COVID.
You see that stigma? You see that stigma?
Yes.
It's crazy. These are new stigmas on top of 15 billion stigmas we already got in this world.
It's crazy, So we were all quiet and we didn't talk about it till weeks later. It was like, anybody else felt this? And we all had the same symptoms. So it was crazy. It was nuts. And, we all laughed about it. Like, yo, you could have killed us, But at the same time, I'm really scary. I'm a scary person when it comes to diseases and things like that, so, and, unfortunately, children got to go back to school, they need their education.
Yeah. And they need those social skills. They need that interaction.
Yes.
This one little girl, they interviewed this one little girl. She probably was about, maybe like 8 or 9. And she, I mean, they were just asking her because it shows you how innocent kids are, and it shows you how kids don't go back and forth as much as adults do on some things. Because she said, well, I mean, they said, what do you think about wearing a mask? She said, well, if it means that I can see my friends, then I'll wear the mask. I mean, it's not going to bother me. Like, there's nothing for me to really argue about. I mean, it's everybody's choice. If you want to wear it, fine. If you don't, fine. If the rules say you got to wear it and then you don't want to go in because, the rules say you have to wear it, fine, but I'm only saying same thing you're saying is it's about other people. It is not just
Yes.
about you. You know, even if you're fine
Mhm.
or even if you're going to be fine and you're totally against the vaccine or you're vaccinated, either or, everybody you have a responsibility to your brother and your sister. You
Mhm.
do. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. And like I said, my daughter's going back to school, and like one thing I'll give her is that like she likes wearing her mask. Like she's really like, Corona is out there. Like I'm not taking off my mask, like, and I enjoy it. Like it tickles me, like
Because she's growing up in the age now where they're probably this is kind of their norm right now.
this is crazy. Could you imagine? I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine going through this as a child. Like
No. I couldn't even imagine not seeing my friends because that's all we concerned about. I mean, because it's a social that connection. So
yes,
when children are apart, it's devastating. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? They're not adults yet where they can be by themselves and leave me alone. They want to be with their friends. They need that interaction. They need those
hmm
smiles. They need those hugs. They need all of that stuff to contribute to nurturing them.
exactly. And like my friends were everything growing up, like that.
Yeah.
Like like that's one of the craziest parts about this. That's the like, and then it's like just watching my daughter develop. She has older siblings, right? So she kind of mimics her older sister. So it's like, all right, you're too young to be saying that, or you too, like I constantly gotta, like check her, but then I gotta remember, like she's not hanging out with people her age. So,
Yeah.
like she's missing that, that part of her development. And like she has one friend, like they call each other on FaceTime. They play what's the Roblox. They play that together, like, and I enjoy, watching her do that. Like, or sometimes I'll call her and she'll be like, "Hey, I was on the phone with Christina, Daddy. You made my phone call cut off." I'm like, "Boo boo, you didn't have to answer the phone, but." It's good, just to know that she's dealing with other people her age and developing that way. But like I think that I see the school part missing.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and that's hard. That's hard because they do need to go back to school, but
hmm
everybody needs to be safe. But those kids need that for their development because remember, they were out all last year. I mean,
Yes,
my God,
yes.
they've missed a year. And if you were behind, then
hmm
now you 2 and 3 years behind. I don't even know what you're gonna do. I saw a funny video. They were like, look, if you come back to school and you got straight A's, we're just gonna pass you because you're good. We don't even have time. We got too many other kids to focus on or whatever.
Yeah, it's
But
like, and I know you worked in the schools. Like, what do you think about that? Like, like it's gonna be nuts. Like, just try to get everybody back on track.
hey, Queen. Hey, Envy. Yes, it is. Because I remember, and then I worked high school, right? We had a middle school, but
Mhm.
I was high school. So there were already kids who were 2 and 3 years behind, right?
Yes.
So like you're 18, almost 18 in the 10th grade. Now you're in the 10th grade, right? Because you failed. Now we went through COVID. Okay, so
hmm
many of them did absolutely nothing. Some had tech issues, but not like that. The kids were just not responding. There was nobody there to watch. You couldn't make them come on camera. You couldn't make them do anything, right? That was the
hmm
policy. So there was nothing in DC. It was so there was nothing you could do but just hope that they come and try and try. So they didn't, right? So now they're going back another year behind. Now, when they graduate, whenever they graduate, these kids are coming out into our population. How in the world
My
are they gonna
God.
get a job? If they can't get a job, then you got what? Now you're looking at possible criminal activity because they gotta
Yes.
survive. This is
hmm
nationwide. Like
Yeah.
US, what are you gonna do about this? And how are they, I don't even know how they're gonna teach this shit. Like, what are you
hmm
gonna do? I don't know.
Ah,
Because they're putting a whole bunch of money into the mental health,
yeah.
for what they went through. So they're going to try to put the whole bunch of money into the mental health, try to do the wraparound services to try to keep the kids engaged. They're going to be excited to see their friends, but I just hope they're that as much excited about learning.
And then what happens when there's the first COVID outbreak in a school or in multiple schools? It's like,
That's what the unions are working on now. They don't know what's going to happen. I mean, does that mean
This is
school shut
crazy.
down? You're going to do hybrid? They talked about that. Like, okay, come to school, a couple days a week, virtual the rest of the days. But remember, some of these teachers, administrators, staff members, they have kids in school. And
Hmm.
so they can't, do the hybrid like that. And then DC and
Hmm.
Maryland are close together. So if you teach in DC, but I have my child and I live in Maryland and I got my kids going to school in Maryland, they're not out. I'm out. Or when I'm not out, they're out. How are we gonna make this work? And that is just nationwide, cities that are close together.
Yeah, and look at that. That is crazy. It's like, like it's like, what's the win? Like, I mean, I think that overall, the children getting their education is the win. You know what I mean? Like, them learning is the win. And then it's like, okay, what happens if schools close again? Then we're going to be back in this situation. It's going to be a continuous cycle. So now, like, I sit back and I wonder if we open back up too fast. Like, if we move too fast, like, I know a lot of people were rushing and some people didn't care about, COVID or whatever. They just want to get back to business. And I understand it because being home, is not conducive to growth financially, but at the same time, it's like, what is the win? Like, when, like, or how many children is enough to close schools again? Or, like,
And then
it's like,
states have their own policies.
yeah.
Leaving it up to the state government. So then you've got different states doing different things. And the problem with that is if you're where I am, whereas DC, Maryland, and Virginia all together, DC may have something different, Maryland may have something different, Virginia may have something different, but you're constantly crossing those lines daily.
Yeah.
So what do you do? You know what I'm saying? What do you do with the kids in school in Virginia, but you work in Maryland? And then the parents have to go back to work, the ones that can't go do virtual. So then what? Unemployment, then what happened? Is unemployment gone? You know what I'm saying? So what are people going to do? Like, the government has to stop and just figure out how they're going to handle all of this.
Yeah, and it's like, again, like, what, like, and what is the win? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, what's our goal here? You know what I mean? Like, if we say teaching the children is our goal, like, like some, I think that maybe we could like, do smaller classes, something of that nature. Like you said, the hybrid learning might be a little bit better. It might run less risk, but then it just takes one person to come into school with COVID, and the whole situation is in chaos.
And like the Queen said, they just do a full reset. The thing is, if you do hybrid, too, everything has an issue, right? If you do hybrid, okay, so high school, like 9th grade, you're going to go to school on Monday. 10th grade goes to school on Tuesday. 11th grade on Thursday. This is what some schools have tried. The problem is when the kids are not in school, especially high school, if they over their friend's house, out on the street, whatever, okay, they're coming back to school with their mask, whether they have COVID or not. Then what do you do with the parents who have to work and, like, I'm not going to tell people you got COVID, you just going to have to go because I got to make a living or we're going to get put out.
Yeah. And that's the next thing. And like I said, they like, the unemployment is coming to an end. So it's not like, and people, they put it as, okay, it's incentivizing people to stay home from work. But at the same time, like, some people really needed to stay home from work during these times. Like, like, there's real parents who really couldn't work because their children are home and their children are being homeschooled, or their children are too young to be home alone.
Okay.
And
you said unemployment, and that's the thing. One, I'm gonna tell you this, and you let me know. So I've been going to a lot of different restaurants, right? These people, the ones on unemployment, this is what managers have said, right? People didn't come, they went on unemployment, they are home, they said forget it, right? Because they stressed out of their job no matter what job you have. And some of them are making more on unemployment, so why am I going to go back, deal with customers disrespectful? So now They got kids. Tell me if you see this in New York. They got kids working. They trying to change Wendy's down the street. Wendy's down the street just put a
Mm-hmm.
sign said, "Start today, work today, hiring junior managers right now." Right now.
Wow.
Like you can start today, right now, as a junior manager. We train junior managers. You get paid today. All this. This is how bad they need workers.
Yes.
My friend was talking about the customer service in one of the restaurants. She was like, it's awful because they don't have time to train because a lot of these people ain't come back. Look at this.
That's crazy.
This is crazy. From the Insider online, it said, in September, federal unemployment benefits will be winding down for good across the country. While benefits technically expire on September 6th, recipients can generally only claim them through September 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have different states that haven't cut them off. So
Yeah.
that's, what is that, next week?
Yes.
And your kids going back to school.
And like,
So if you on unemployment, you got kids, your kids going back to school.
what do you do? Like,
I don't
you know, unless your job has some type of benefits for you to get, like, you just screwed. You know what I mean? And you know, what if your children are doing hybrid learning? You know, like, what do you do on those days when they don't go to school? You know?
I know.
And what if they're not in high school? You know, what if, you know, it was junior high school? It's like, what do you do at that point?
I
You know?
And
It's really, you know.
You got the kids with disabilities, autism, and things like that have to be in school. They really do, because the parents are not equipped. They don't have that training, and they will tell you they don't have that training. Some of these kids will fight their parents. You know what I mean? Not mean-wise, but they need that specialized training. So you got all of that you need to get them in school and keep them in school, and they can't take a lot of change. You know what I mean? If I go to school on Monday, I need to be going to school on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can't have me going to school on Monday and then I go home. You know what I mean? And then bring me back on Wednesday. They need structure. So it's so many issues that I don't know if it's beyond the scope to me of what government can think of doing. Because number one, you're not in education. You're a policy maker. And so you may understand, and maybe you have some experience in the past, but you've got to get these people, these principals, these vice principals, these teachers, support workers, and parents to rally and just tell you what's going on and what's needed in their community.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's so unfortunate. Like, just looking at the landscape of what, you know, like, our children have to face these days, like, as opposed to what we had to face. I mean, a thunderstorm was like, probably a snowstorm was like something, okay, we had to stay home. Chicken pox, you know, like, you know, cold. I never had the flu when I was a kid, you know, like, I used to make up stomach, you know, like, whatever, but it's like, you know, and it's, you know, like, it's something that could have been managed better from the beginning. So now, you know, it's just out of control. And, you know, like,
they didn't plan. There was already a plan. You know what I'm saying? They didn't plan. They didn't think, you know, it's always, and isn't that what we do in America? It's always, we'll get to it later. Or when the tragedy comes, then we're going to get, but see, then it's panic. And you don't make your best decisions emotionally based because you're panicking.
Exactly.
So, you know, and you're trying to listen to everybody, listen to what everybody needs, and you're trying to just implement something. And, you know, you've got to plan, and you've got to plan for this type of stuff. I mean, the best way you can.
They say failure to plan is a plan for failure. You know, like, if you fail to plan, you planning to fail, basically. So, you know, like, it's, you know, and as far as, like, you know, like, when you think about it, the children who need counseling, like, that part right there is like, you know, like, I was a bad kid. You know, I didn't need counseling, but I had counseling, right? So I remember, you know, like, there's some things that, you know, just having counseling helped me out a lot with. Like, it gave me an edge, you know, like, as far as, you know, staying focused in school, you know, staying focused. And, you know, like, just seeing children that have to go without that part, like, you can't, you know, there's no home counseling or computer counseling going on here, you know, like, there's, you know, there's something. And, right now we're up against it right now. So we're going to go ahead and take a brief break, and we'll be right back on everything.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
Welcome back to the On Everything podcast, sponsored by Sayings by Butter. Yes. Good looking butter. We respect you, we thank you, and we appreciate you for all that you do. Yes. So back to what we was talking about, for the children, who need counseling and, or even food, like this, they don't have food at home, there's children, that's the only thing that they ate was school lunch, or breakfast at school, and it's just unfortunate to see children just suffer because of the situation. And, at first, in the beginning, I was really happy to see, schools opening back, children being able to, mingle with other children. But, the more and more I think about it, it's creating another dangerous situation. Because if there's a COVID outbreak at school or whatever, God forbid, and you have senior citizens at some homes, you have older people, with different immune deficiencies and things like that, and those children bring that home. Oh my God, you just you opening the door for just something that is so dangerous. And like the Queens of New York podcast said, I really think that we need a full reset.
We better reset fast, because this is the government is responsible for the people. Government is elected by the people. So you're responsible. And I'm not saying, we are not in that field. We know enough, but it is a complex issue. It's like no matter what you implement, there's going to be a con, right? You're going to upset some people. There is nothing that's going to be foolproof. You cannot please everybody. But every state needs to work together and figure out the best plan. But you can't really do that because the states have their own constituency. They have their own people, their own, and what works for the people. And so then, if you just let the states, then the states go back and forth.
You remember the madness? Oh, we're not accepting people from this state. We're not, you can't even visit here. It was madness. And it's just going to come right back around full circle. Because, I personally, I don't feel like we gave it enough time for us to fully get through it.
No, because I think people are and see, that's hard. I mean, I agree, but that's hard, G, because the economy is suffering, right? People are not working, they're out of work. Parents are stressed to the max. If I don't send my child to school, ain't no telling what I'm going to do. My child needs to get out of here. I'm not an educator. Thank you. This was not my path. So I don't know. They can't teach them in the way that needs to be taught. It's just like stress.
Yes.
And so what do you do when they need to get out? Because you don't want the parents tripping out on the kids. You don't want, all of this. Hold that thought. I just got a text from a friend of mine saying that tomorrow, this is my stepdad, saying that the voter rights, they're marching on Washington tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so they're going to be talking about, I'm going to tell you this real quick, this is out of the Washington Post too, voting rights, they're demanding federal legislation to protect and expand access to the ballot, also calling for DC statehood, yes, I agree, and voicing support for other civil rights and social justice issues, including reparations for slavery, raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour, canceling student debt, reforming immigration, reimagining public safety, and ending gun violence and mass incarceration.
Now, see, these are all the things, right? that was promised to that gets promised to us every election year, right? Like these are the things that gets, like these are the promises that we get every year when it's time to pick a president, when it's time to pick a congressperson, when it's time to pick, even our local people, right? Yeah. They say, okay, I'm going for this, I'm going for that, and I'm going for reparations, I'm going for this, I got y'all. And at the end of the day, like we get nothing. Like you don't hear from them for another 4 years, and then here we go again, wham bam.
Yes. And see, that's another thing. That's another thing. Because in the past they were going to do it, and then I can't think. Somebody came in and canceled it. I mean, we never got. But that's another thing. That's what we talked about before on one of the other shows. What does reparations look like in 2021? Does it still look like 40 acres and a mule, or what does that look like? Does it look like a full payment? Like, does it look like our generations get money? Like, what does that look like?
I don't like. I'm not an anti-reparations person, but I don't think there's any amount of anything that you could give us to make up for the emotional stress, the things that we grew up with. Oh, you know what I mean? Like the pain, the hurt, like, because all of that stuff was passed on from our elders. So, like there's not enough anything that you could give us to make up for it. So I would say reparations looks like do your best. You know what I mean? Like, give me as much as you could give me. Like, give us what you could give us. And like when you think, we give reparations to all the other Indians. We give it to the Jewish people. Like everybody gets their own little thing. But when it comes to our people, we're not giving anything. Especially when it comes to dealing with the backlash and the things that we had to deal with from slavery.
Oh yeah, that's never going to heal. I mean, no matter what, it's never going to take the place of what our ancestors went through and what has been passed down through generations. I mean, there's just nothing you can do about that. But everybody has a different view of reparations. I don't know what that's going to look like. And
it's like, have you ever been bullied? Have you ever been? I've been bullied before, right? So I know. I remember what that felt like as a child. Like even now to this day, I remember what that felt like. And so now it's like, as a man, or growing up, I was skinny when I was young. So like I was skinny and small. So growing up, it was like, I got to get bigger and stronger. I got to get bigger until I was bigger and stronger, like until I was, now I'm in my bully's face. Like, yo, what you said to me back in the days? Like, but, it's like you never get over that experience. So it's the same situation with Black America. We struggle because of, what we went through, that oppression. You'll never fully get over that. Like you'll never get over how that feels to say, okay, I'm Black and I'm lesser than because I'm Black. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, like even, for men, like for men, you take away their pride, like their ego, you're nothing, you're less than, you never get over that. So I really can't say what, reparations could look like, because unless you're going to give me something to say, haha, now I'm looking down at you, there's nothing that you can really, do to make up for, the lost time, the hurt, the pain, separating our families, even up to nowadays, like police killing Black men. And, like there's nothing that you could do to make up for that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean,
right? No amount of money, not a mule, not a 40 acres, none of that. Like nothing makes up for,
But I guess we just have to come to a thing about, something has to be done, right? So
absolutely.
We just have to figure out what it is, because different groups are asking for different things, and people have different ideas. And see, this is the thing too. We got to get on the same page. At some point in our lives, we got to get on the same page. I mean,
but that's what they did to us. They separated
we know
us.
That, and they did.
They
But
separate us.
and that's true, and that's where it stems from. However, we here
Yes.
now. Like we gotta get on the same page because we know this,
Yes.
we say that, and yes, we
Mhm.
know that was the effect of it. And so what are we gonna do now? I mean, we still argue
Yeah.
back and forth now over like little stuff. We can't get on the same page about what chicken place to go to. We can't get on the same page about
Exactly.
just a minor thing. You know what I'm saying? And you
Mhm.
don't want to do what somebody else doesn't want to do. Now we're not talking to you. Now we're not talking
Yeah.
to you for weeks and years. You know, I mean, it just you know,
We'll stay on it for a little while. Like when we did all of those protests and all that stuff, we'll stay on it for a little while. Then we just let it die out. And, like we should never let it die out. You have to keep that fire burning. It has to be constant. And that's why, like, we're always in need of the right type of leadership. And that's where the problem stems, is that, like, people, pick their own leaders. We pick different leaders or different things to follow. If we all could get on one accord and say, okay, like, and then this person can speak for us, then we could get somewhere. But, like back in the civil rights era, like you had Martin Luther King, you had Malcolm X. So we still were separated. But, like we had two different leaders looking for the same things, though.
yeah, well, Al Sharpton, I know Al Sharpton will be here tomorrow, and I'm sure it's going to be a whole bunch of other people. But
My God.
that's what I'm interested in seeing, what the younger generation is going to do. Like our young generation now out here, where are the leaders going to rise? What are they going to do to take the reins now? Because a lot of our people still out there marching, still hoping, but people, like, time is moving on. Like, our people are getting older, and
Yeah.
that kind of support, that old school support, that taught you that wisdom, is going to no longer be there. So
Exactly.
we got to figure out what the young people are going to do.
And another thing is, like, for like that older generation, you don't see like that passing of the torch, which like could be a problem because they hold on to that leadership, like, I'm this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's where like we drop the ball, like you didn't pass it on to the next person. Like I remember when my uncle got sick or whatever, like, or a little while before he really got sick, he took time to teach us things about different areas in life. And he was a pastor, so he taught me a lot about church. You know what I mean? Like, there's some pastors that didn't have that experience that I had of being under somebody that shows you everything that that there is to know. So like that, I think that's an important part. That like we definitely need the right type of leadership.
You see the Facebook user, why do we need leaders?
Why do we need leaders?
Leaders are going to always arise.
Exactly.
It's not even so much for the Facebook user. It's not even so much, and thank you for your comment. It's not even, or your question, it's not even why do we need leaders? Leaders are going to always arise. They're going to be leaders all the time. There's always going to be someone in some area, based on their gift, that's going to stand out above the rest. It doesn't mean that they're better than the rest. It means that they have greater insight. That is their gift. That is within them, their passion to lead. Other people may have the gift to follow, to serve. And that's what they love to do. You know what I'm saying? That's what they love to do. So it's not that everybody wants to be a leader, but it's always going to be leaders that arise, because if you don't have any leaders, then what you're going to have is some chaos,
exactly. And you need people to, because not only do you need the leaders who speak, you need the people who lead by example as well. So we understand how to get things done. And
the right way, yeah.
Exactly. And then there's leaders who speak for you. You know what I mean? Like, you need people to speak for you, because like it's easier nowadays to reach people via Twitter and, like on social media or whatever. But at the same time, there's, like we're not having meetings. We're not in the room with these leaders when they make decisions with our congressmen. We're not in the room. So we need somebody to speak for us.
Well, I would speak. Yeah. And I know what you mean. Well, speak on our behalf.
On our behalf. There you go.
As long as they can frame it based on what the people want. Like, you know,
Yes.
we've all experienced those leaders that go behind closed doors. We don't know what you're telling us, what you're
Mm-hmm.
telling people. We don't know if you're serving your own interest or is it the interest of the people. You know, you
Yes.
gotta be able to identify which one's a good leader, and you're gonna know which ones are good leaders and what not because we're the people. If we don't like you and you're not a good leader, or we feel some type of bad energy, or we've seen how you roll and your integrity, character, whatever, the people are not
Mm-hmm.
gonna follow you. They're just not,
Exactly.
because they're gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are smart. They're gonna know, and then another leader will arise. You know, I mean, that's just how it's gonna go, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and like, you know, like I like to use Dr. King as an example. Like, you know, like even though he was from the church, he still was able to go into the president's office and speak, you know, and tell them what those people wanted at that time. And, you know, for that time, he was the right person to lead. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and there's not, you know, like we need that. Like that's, you know, that's something that's very necessary in order for us to go forward as a people. And then, you know, at the same time, you know, I understand like, oh, you know, not trusting leaders or whatever. You know, I get it, but at the same time, you know, like you need that. You know, that's necessary.
Unless you want to go do it yourself. I mean, which you absolutely can. You know, and that's how leaders arise, right? It's usually because of conflict. Leaders just don't come with everything's going good. They come out of conflict, and they come out of pain, and they come out of the need. So if you have that in you and you don't like, you know, what the leaders are doing, or you don't like what this person's doing, whatever, then you absolutely should go in there and try to do something and try to lead and learn and practice and all that stuff. Absolutely. That's the type of world we live in.
I remember, you know, like I have a group text with my family, and I remember, I forgot what was going on, but I think like another, you know, African American got killed by police or whatever. And in the group text, my cousin, he texts, you know, and like, when you gonna do something for us, man? Like, you know, you're not saying nothing about this stuff. And I'm like, yo, I'm trying, man. I'm reaching out every way I can. Yeah, but he was messing with me. You know, like, he's like, yo, you know, like, you're supposed to be the leader, man. You're supposed to be saying, you know. So I'm like, yo, I'm trying, man. He's like, yo, I'm just joking. I'm like, all right, whew, thank God. Like, don't put that on me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not that one. You know. But that's what, you know, like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, you need to, you know, I mean, some leaders go to God. Some people, you know, like, it is, you know, different types of leadership. But, you know, leadership is, yeah, exactly. Exactly. As long as it's the right cause, then you can get behind them on the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, you might not like some of their ways. You know,
but
like,
you're gonna know, most people, everybody has intuition, right? You're gonna know if somebody is saying something that's against your belief.
Questionable,
or,
yes.
Yeah, questionable. Their actions are questionable, whatever. And this is what you see consistently. This is not just like a mistake that they made, because people are gonna make mistakes. Okay, you can't hold somebody that's just one thing they do, one thing you see, whatever. Look at their actions over time, and if over time it's like, yeah, no, so this person is not
right.
No,
that ain't right.
then you want to stop following them, right?
Yeah.
You already know.
Ella, let me tell you. I'll tell you one time, right? I was in church, right, and I was in a revival. I remember this pastor was up there preaching, and like something just kept bothering me. While, you know, before he even got up to preach, I'm like just sitting there staring at him, like, man, something is not right. Like, you know, like. He, you know, like, I'm like, he looked the part though, like, and he preached really well, like he could holler, you know, he get busy with it.
Right.
And I remember, like, as he was preaching, he started talking about a situation, and, you know, and he's like, I think somebody came to him and said, God told me to tell you something, right? And he said,
Here we go.
in this church, I am the Spirit. And I'm just like, you know, he's like, yo, God don't give you something to tell me. I tell you what God, and I'm just like, I knew something wasn't right. I'm just like, okay, you know what? There it is right there. Then, you know, like a couple of months later. No, he wasn't.
He was just preaching. He was just regular preaching.
Yeah, and he was saying what he told the person. Like, I told them, in this church, I'm the Spirit. And nothing don't come through God unless nothing comes from God unless it comes from me. And I'm just
Okay,
like,
this is what I be doing. Okay, thank you. All right.
a couple of months after that, he had a bunch of scandals, and he lost his church.
And
But
then how you gonna do? Ooh, and how to get like I would? Are you crazy?
yeah, like
Are you gonna do that? And you gonna do? And God is watching you?
exactly, I'm discouraged.
Are you
Like
crazy?
how
You are
cocky
in
can you be?
trouble. You are in
Yeah.
trouble.
It's
No.
ridiculous, so like, and that's an example of like just what I mean, like just watching and noticing that something's not right,
Yeah.
and God will always let you know that. As long as you earnestly follow God, then God will always show you when something is not right.
Yeah. And then also too, yes, God first, always. And then your values come into play.
Yes.
You know how you were raised, all that, what you heard your grandmother say, your mom taught you, your dad taught you, siblings, whatever. So yeah, you just gotta practice discernment. Oh, we gotta practice discernment when we walk to the store. I mean, you gotta practice
Exactly.
discernment every time you step out your house.
Yes. Anytime you have to deal with people, period. You know what I mean? Like, point blank, and like it's a person I got to discern. You know what I mean? Like, and like, and that was, that's like our relationship, right? Like, I always discern that me and you were, you know what I mean? Like, we were always good friends, and it's just like that. Like, like it's always good when I talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. Like.
And we're consistent.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, we're consistent with who we are. I mean, it's not like you gonna get one of us one day and the next day we did a 360.
Yeah, it's like okay. If I call you Gene, like you could probably guess what the conversation is gonna be like. Like if I say this, I know he's gonna say this. And like if we don't change, like
yeah. But the school. Back on the school, I wonder, I don't even know, Gene, honestly. I'm trying to think because I don't even been in education all those years because this is new for everybody, the COVID and the pandemic. I don't even know what pointers I can really give or what, how we give our steps, that people can implement for parents or children. Other than to stay 6 feet,
stay safe.
I don't even know. It's so crazy. We don't really have any major answers.
Yeah, it's like
and
6
the bad
feet
thing about
it,
where the teachers and people and the school staff are worried about too is especially like high school, middle school too. Elementary, maybe not so much because I know a lot of elementary schools, like when they go to the bathroom, when they go to the cafeteria, a lot of times the teachers go there and this, that, and the other. But middle school, you're getting into middle school. And high school, definitely not. Like that, when you're on lunch, that's the teacher's lunch. Like, get out. Like, we have stuff to do. Like, let me just gather my mind before I see y'all in 30 more minutes running down the hall. And so, like, even part of the thing they were saying, well, what are we going to do when the kids go to the bathroom and they take off their masks and throw on their masks and they play fighting and then they touching each other and running up and down the hall? You can't, some schools said, well, you're going to get a warning, then, some type of discipline, then suspension. Well, you can't suspend them all. And then it's like, what do you do? And then that puts the principal in a hard spot. That puts the administrators in a hard spot. And then the parents are at work. So then you got to call the parent. And I know the parents like, look, we just got back to work.
Yeah.
So I don't even know. I'm saying that to say, I don't know what pointers we can give them other than to stay safe, as safe as you can, wear your mask, social distancing.
That's crazy. Pay attention, like
do your work because you lost a year, kids. You lost a year. You got a lot of catching up to do. I know the teachers are going to be struggling trying to stay on pace with what they've got to teach by a certain time because all that material last year, they're going to have to find time to reteach that and blend it in the lesson. Like it's just the thought.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you decide, like, how do you decide if a child failed, like, or like if you're not going to pass them to the next grade? It's like
That's why that teacher said, look, if you get an A, we just go pass you because
Yeah.
we got too many kids that
I mean, you got the state exams,
don't
like
know.
those things don't
Yes.
change. Like, it's waiting, like like
What about the kids the graduate who have to take the
Yeah.
SATs this year?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And for college, if that's that's the requirement.
Yeah,
What
and you
about
got
that?
some children that are not good studiers, right? Like I'm a good studier, but you got a lot of children that
I
are
was
not
not a
good.
good studier.
Yeah,
Not a good studier.
and it's like if you're not a good studier, if you don't know how to study on your own at home, like what do you do? Like like I couldn't go to like
Ask my friends.
I mean,
Yes.
but when it comes to like the SATs and things like
Oh
that,
yeah,
and
ain't nothing you can do. And then what
Yeah.
about Gene? Remember this year, the ones who are
Mhm.
graduating seniors this year. Okay, so they've lost a year with COVID. What about the ones who some seniors have to make up a class, make up a credit? It's only offered sometimes in the school year at certain times of the year. So then
Exactly.
look at the job of the counselors who are scheduling the kids for the whole school, like our counselors were the bomb. Scheduling
Mhm.
for the whole school, trying to make up classes and credit recovery. And oh, you didn't get credit for this. You're going to graduate. You got to have this credit or this credit by
Mhm.
the end of this school year. But then what if they failed the classes during COVID because they didn't participate during COVID?
It's a loss. I mean,
That's what I'm
it's stressful,
saying. I
man.
don't
Like,
even know.
I mean, I just, like, I really, like, I hope that, like, everything holds up. Like, there's no crazy COVID outbreaks. Of course, there's going to be some.
Yeah.
I know that, but I just hope that for the most part, everything just holds up, and our children are able to get back on track a little bit. Just get back to
Yeah.
a little normalcy. A little
Yeah.
bit of normal.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Like get used to seeing their friends again.
And the
going to
activity.
classes and-
I mean, hopefully they'll be
Exactly.
able to act like football, basketball is big, cheerleading
Yeah.
is big, stuff
Mhm.
like that. I mean, soccer, volleyball, whatever.
Yeah.
Field
And not only
trip. What are they
that, you
going to do
got
about the field trip?
the dances, proms,
Oh God.
like
Oh my God.
there's like
Yeah.
so much that like that we lost already, and it's like you just want to make sure that this is
cannot
the
lose
right
our
thing that
kids.
we're doing. Yeah,
We cannot lose our kids. We've got
No.
to figure something
that's
out.
our future.
And the adults and the councils, the city councils of the state. You've been seeing all those arguments and stuff like that, and people yelling at each other and cussing at each other.
Mask, no mask, and yeah,
We got to do better because our kids are watching this. We've got to do better. And I know whatever your belief is, that's what your belief is. We just got to figure out some type of I don't know, a compromise, something so that we
something that is safe for everybody.
or
That is
as close as we can get.
yeah. That's it. That's the compromise that everybody should be willing to make.
Yeah.
I used to get upset when I see the anti-vaccine people or the people who don't believe in masks and things like that.
When you called them people, at least you didn't say the anti-vaccinated.
That's crazy.
The unvaccinated and the vaccinated. Like, don't start that divide.
No, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. No, because we all are one. You know what I mean? Like, just because somebody decided not to get a vaccine don't mean that they're any less of a person or a worse
And
person.
we honestly don't know what reason, Gene. I mean, medical reasons, religious reasons. We don't know.
Yeah. Or they just don't know what it will do to them.
Right. And they don't want to take that chance. You might be dealing with somebody who's had a whole bunch of things happen to them, like or somebody who's never gotten any vaccines. There are a lot of people that don't get the flu vaccine. So you don't know what that situation is and how, so no, you cannot make anyone do that. We have to figure out how to work in unison together. We have to. We don't have no choice. We all got to live here.
And just like Joy said, she said, I pray for the kids entering milestone grades like kindergarten, freshman high school, senior, senior high school, junior high school.
No,
she
they
said
have
she don't think they've not been prepared, and it's true.
No.
It's like, like it's like we have to enter a whole new level of training for the children in order for them to, and it's not even just about school now. It's about training on how to be safe. It's a whole new level.
That's going to be a whole curriculum. And I'm sure they're trying to figure out that social workers are probably trying to figure out, when am I going to have time for this?
Listen, school starts next week.
You got to get the kids straight mentally from being gone for a year.
Yeah. And people been in school. Some states, people already been. The children are back in school, and then school starts next week here. So it's like,
starts next week here. I think they go back. It starts Monday. I think these kids go back. DC goes back Monday.
Yeah, we go back Monday as well. So it's like, what do we do? Like, Jesus, like, Jesus, take the wheel. You got it, Lord.
Take it all, because we have, as you can see, we have no idea. And George also said we can all transmit COVID, vaccinated or not. That's what people are not understanding. And that's true. And that's where the responsibility comes in. I mean, you just got to be responsible for your for your fellow man. Love one another, be kind to one another, watch over one another.
It's the greatest commandment. Yes.
Yep, all of that has to do with, being responsible. And not saying you have to get vaccinated or not. You just got to be responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And our kids are going to mimic. Our kids are going to mimic whatever
we
doing,
do. Yeah.
We arguing and everything, carrying on. The news people are arguing and carrying on. Every news channel, they going in like crazy on the news. Stuff that you would never hear before.
Back and forth, like with different players.
Like what?
I'm saying, like, they go back and forth from different news stations talking about each other. This is crazy.
You got the news people talking about this is ridiculous. I mean, they never used to say that stuff. They all stressed out. They're, what I mean? They're trying to report. People are, I mean, it's a lot going on in this world, people. And we just have to pray. We got to pray. We got to be patient. We got to not try to act on our emotions as hard as it is, right? Take that time to really think things through, because emotions are running high. And when I just read that unemployment, what they say, the 6th or something of September, when these unemployment benefits run out, you're going to
force people back outside. You're going to force people back outside.
People already been living in their cars, trying to get help and all of that stuff, and then what's going to happen? Remember all these evictions that got pushed back during COVID.
Yeah. All of that stuff gets lifted. Like, what's going to happen? Like, and then what happens when everything, there's another outbreak? Like, what do you do? Like, it's just, like, it's sad, man. Like, I really, like, I'm really, praying for the country, just praying for people, people who are struggling, really praying for them. Like, this is, it could get bad, like, it could get bad, but I'm praying for the best.
I'm praying for the best. I'm hoping for the best. I mean, me and Jean always have points for you all. We appreciate the listeners on audio. We appreciate the people who are tuning in and watching us live. And but for this, I'm just got to be honest. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, because everything's going to have a pro, everything's going to have a con. And you're not going to be able to please people. And people are dealing with so many different situations that it's not going to be a one size fits all. So, and depending on what state you live in, the resources that you have. Some states, some cities have more than others. That plays a part. Some communities have more than others. All that stuff right now is very serious, you guys. So we just pray for all of you all. And we just pray for your safety and your family's safety, and shout out and prayers to the people who have lost their loved ones during this time and who are still in, the hospitals and things like that.
Yeah, I read somewhere, I forgot where it was, but it said that the COVID rate was like at 375%, like right back with the new Delta.
That Delta variant, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And we got to do more research on that, because it's all kinds of stories about that. You got conspiracy theories, and then you got the truth. We just need to find the truth. And we just need to figure out how we're going to deal with that. And then, Gene, what's after that? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it just now you got people with paranoia and all this stuff. People who never had paranoia, anxiety before, are now suffering from that.
Ella, my anxiety be high. Like if I go into the Walmart and like it get crowded. I remember, I think me and my girlfriend, we were shopping for Christmas ornaments and stuff, you know, for Christmas, like just wrappings and stuff like that. And you know, like the crowd came in and started rushing and looking for stuff, and I'm like, I just went and stood in the corner. I'm like, man, like I can't do it. Like, listen, I'm scared. Like, I mean, like really, like I lost, you know, a good 6 friends and, you know, an aunt, you know, like, so, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, like how much, you know, enough is enough. Like I want to be here for my children, you know?
And that's really what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to be here for your children. And, you know, some people have to think, well, you know, you're going to die. You die anyway. You know, if it's supposed to happen, then it's going to happen. So there's nothing you can do to prevent it, and this, that, and the third. But you still have to live, you know,
and try to be safe. That's all. That's
the best
all.
way you can. That's it. And you know, if you pass doing that, you pass doing the right thing. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just about caring for your fellow man. And Kerry Clark says, "True, wear a mask, vaccinated or not." And Joy Brown said, "Vaccinated or not, you should wear a mask." Right, just like that little girl said. That's the only way I can end is what she said. She said, "Look, if it means I can go to school and see my friends and wear a mask, then I'll wear a mask." Like it's not even a big deal. It was no big deal to her. You know what I mean? It just was it's not like, you know, I know people are saying you're trying to take people's rights away, and I will say for them, I understand that part. I understand what they're saying because people lack trust in the government. You know, it's always something. And so you're on edge every time the government tells you something, right or wrong. You're immediately defensive. I think that's a little bit in all of us, just because people have been lied to, people have been mistreated, all of that stuff. So when this happens, people may really believe that they are trying to take their rights away and stuff. And then you see now people are saying, hey, you can't come back in the store now without your mask. The concert, okay, you got to have at least one vaccine. So it may appear like that, you know, but even if it was none of that, even if the government never introduced any of that, and the government said, I'm going to let the world do whatever you want to do. We got COVID. Y'all saw the cases. You can choose to wear a mask or not. We're not even going to tell your government to enforce wearing a mask. What would you do? That's it.
Exactly.
What would you do? If left
you gotta listen to the doctors and follow science. It's that simple.
And even Gene, even if people don't believe the doctors or follow science, or you believe it was lab created or whatever the beliefs are, and we really don't know. I mean, we really don't know because we weren't a fly on the wall in all of these things. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But the bottom line is, if nobody had any mandate on you, none of that, and this stuff was happening, would you care for your fellow man and wear a mask? What would you do?
Yeah.
As your own personal choice.
At the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Like, you know, like, are you know, like, for me, like, I don't mind wearing a mask. I don't care wherever I'm at. You know, like, even, you know, I remember I was on a flight, I think, and it was like 6 hours or 6 or 7 hours or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta stay here with this mask on. But after a while, you know, it's okay. You know, like it's okay. I'm going where I want to go. You know what I mean? Like it's okay.
It's okay for me. I don't mind. Hey, I'm wearing my mask, whatever. I don't know what's going on just because, you know, I don't know what's going on. What's airborne? I don't know what is in the world's air now. We got so much stuff. But Joy said, getting ridiculous with forcing people to wear the vaccine, and what happened to my body, my choice. But that really is true.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it is your choice. And that's one thing I feel about the government, because, Gene, I'm going to say, it doesn't matter whether you believe in a vaccine and you got it, great. Whether you didn't, great. That's none of that. I'm not even asking about that, because everybody has their own reasons, and you can't make somebody do something.
Exactly.
You can't force somebody to do something. But I'm saying, given if there were no mandates and there was nothing, and it was up to you every time you went out to wear a mask, what would you do? And that's all I'm saying. What would you do? Because it's not just about you; it's about your fellow man. It has nothing to do with the government. It's COVID is here.
Yeah.
Whether it was
Mhm.
whether you believe it was created, whether you believe it's a sign, whether you no matter what your belief is, it's here. And so now,
Yep.
how can we help protect each other?
Exactly. Wearing a mask is the the end all be all. Wear a mask, give 6 feet, you know.
Or 12 feet. Or
So yeah, exactly.
50 feet.
20, 50,
You
whatever
know, when
you
you
need.
walk around and somebody coughing real heavy, you like,
You know what's funny? I was picking up a rental car one day, and it was a older man standing outside the rental the car place, and every step I took, like he stepped away a little bit more, and I'm just like, and me and him are having a conversation because we were talking about how long the line was inside the place. But every step I took, he took a step away, and I was, like, it started to bother me after a while because I'm like, yo, what's wrong with you, man?
yeah, what you
And
trying
then, I'm like, you know what? I gotta respect it. Like at the end of the day, he's being safe. He was he's older.
Yeah, we need to stop
He didn't
taking
want
stuff
to.
so
He had his
personal.
mask on. He had his
Yeah.
mask on. We were outside though, because we stood outside because it was crowded inside the office. But so
Yeah.
both of us made that same decision. We let
Yeah.
them know, hey, we're out here. We're next. He's next. Then I'm behind them.
Yeah.
But like it's too crowded in there. Don't want to be in there. But every step I took, and then, finally, I'm like, all right, we gotta address this elephant that's, in between us. Like, what's happening, man? And he's like, yo, I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm really scared to catch COVID. So, I don't want to get too close to you. And I'm like,
And that would be fine. You know what I'm saying? I would just laugh. You can't take it personal because you
No,
understand.
absolutely.
People are scared. That's cool. I understand. No problem. You can stand 20, 30 feet. I understand. Everybody got their own reasons. I will say this. I know we're at, we went over because we're talking about a lot of issues, especially the kids. God bless the kids. And I pray for the parents, administration, school workers, everybody, the whole nation, while these kids are going back during the age of COVID this school year. And I pray for much success and that everybody's safe. But
yes.
I do want to say to our listeners and our viewers, Gene, that this is going to be my last show.
No, don't.
And y'all know me and Gene have already talked about it, right? But this is going to be my last show. I love you guys. It has been an amazing. I might be back, you never know. But it has been an amazing experience. Me and Gene have had a ball every show, before show, after show. Like y'all don't know. That's one thing we were talking about, doing those clips, doing those behind the scenes clips. But I love you guys, and I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity. I have a business as well, so I have to focus more time on that. We can't do it all, and you just come to a point where you gotta something's gonna have to give, right? But I love this show.
You gotta say the name of the business. Let's go. Come on, do the plug.
The Firm 21. So
Let's
the
go.
Firm 21, thefirm21.com. Everything's coming soon. And so give me some time, you guys, because we still working. Gene still works. I still work. So we do all this. Gene juggles a lot. I juggle a lot. But the Firm 21, that's definitely, I definitely going to come back and sponsor the show. But that's why I got to put most of my folks. I definitely am going to come be a guest on the show.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Definitely going to be in the comments in the show.
Yes.
So, yes. I wish y'all all the best. Please stay tuned. Keep on watching on Everything Podcast. It's going straight to the top. And I just love you guys. It's been an amazing experience. The producer, the staff, the other shows on the network. I love all of them. So I pray for everybody's success, and I wish goodwill to everyone.
And Ella, I gotta say, I really appreciate you. Like, you really are a big part of the show. Like, you help push me forward. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes I sit there and I'll lag or lollygag, and you help me get structure and get it together. So I really appreciate you, and I'm gonna miss you. I wish you much success. I'm here to support you in anything, any way that you need. If you just need to talk, you can always call me. I got your back.
But you're so optimistic. You're so optimistic. Everybody, Gina be like, what? It's fine. It's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. Like 50,000 things are going on. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, what do you, in what world is it fine?
Because, you know what? sometimes if you really take a step back and just, you know what I mean? Because like sometimes you be so locked in the moment. It's like, you know, like take a step back, because that's what I do now. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna remove myself out of the situation and look at it. Like, okay, it's not that bad, you know?
Yeah, ponder it, think it through, and then
Yeah.
come back with the yeah. But nothing is bad. Like everything is fine. I'm like, no, clearly. I mean, it could be a car wreck, and you be like, oh, it's a wreck. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's fine, and the car is fine.
He's still moving. Okay, it's all right. You know, like. But you know, like it's all love here, Ella. You know, like
love.
you know, like anything that you want to do. You know, you want to come back, you want to do a show, whatever. I'm with it. I'm down with it, and I appreciate your time. You know, I appreciate your time the most. I appreciate everything that you contributed here. You know what I mean? And you know, I look forward to much more success with you. You know, like I said, you know, we'll still be talking. You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, networking, all of that still.
All that, yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep it pushing forward, definitely. So, you know, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. Like, you know, I'm selfish, so at the end of the day, you know, like I'm like, you know, she leaving.
Yes, to work on my business, Joy. I swear, if I could do 15,000 things and maintain, I would. If I could get younger, go back in time and get younger, back to my 20s. And not get older, where we could do like 15,000 things multitask, like it's nothing, you know.
Mm-hmm. What you mean? You still look like you're in your 20s. You good?
There you go. You know I just turned 22.
There you go.
You know I just turned 22.
There you go. You're all good, Ella. You know, like I really appreciate you though, and you know I look forward to working in the future. And we had a great time. You know, like even like with the disagreements, like it'd be fun disagreements. Like I'm like, okay. Yes. Like, you know, I'm gonna keep pushing because like I need to see, you know what I mean? Like I need to know why she's saying this. Like,
and even when you did, I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, are you serious when you're playing? Because you know sometimes you playing. I'm like, are you serious about what you're saying? Like, what's really going on?
Listen, sometimes I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna mess with her now for texting me. So like, you know, like I'm like, okay. We gotta go back and forth with paragraphs. Like, if you give me a paragraph, I'm gonna give you one, and we just gotta keep it moving. But you know, like it was all in love, you know, and it was all in, you know, like advancing what we were trying to do and what we were still trying to do. So that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's all about growth, and you know, Firm 21. Looking forward to supporting. You know.
Yes.
Like I said,
I'm gonna be on the show. Yes, I'm be on the show.
Yes, absolutely. No. You know. Well, you know, you're my counselor, so you know.
Yeah.
You know
Anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Word, but that's everything, y'all. I appreciate all of y'all for watching. And Joy, you're the bomb. We appreciate you too. For real. But you know, we thank all of y'all, and you know, that's on everything.
That's